So what if I told you that this 5-step objection handling process made me over $500,000 in profit revenue that came to my bank in the past few months? Now, to break that down for you guys, with this framework, I went from starting at Jeremy's team in March to within 3 to 4 months becoming the top representative at his company. And that's what I want to break down for you guys in this video. Reason I want to break this down for you guys is because of one thing and one thing only. We all know when we have these great discovery, great conversations with people, and then we get to the end of the conversation with the prospect, and then they start throwing you out objections. So what I want to do is be able to help you guys overcome them. Because we all know when we get to think about it, the partner, I don't have the money, all these different objections that we all believe. I want to help you guys overcome them in this video. And I'm just going to break down my 5-step process on how I overcome objections at a very high level and became the #1 salesperson for the best sales training company in the world. So let's break this down. #1, I want to get into my strategy. And what I mean by my strategy is like really understanding not what the prospect says anymore, but is what they mean by what they say. What do I mean by that? A lot of people listen to what the prospect is saying. So when the prospect says, I need to think about it, a lot of people are, oh, well, what do you need to think about? Right? Because they're listening to what the prospect's saying. But what I do is I don't listen to what they say. I listen to what they mean by what they say. When they say they need to think about it, what does that really mean though? It means that there's something causing them to want to go think about it. So for you, you could use this very simple framework, and I'll just give you guys examples in this video. That's no worries at all, but I guess like when you do go think about it, like what is coming up for you that makes you want to do so, just to see if I can help. Oh, it's just like a lot of the money. Okay, so money out of the equation, like would you do the program? Yeah, I would. Okay, so it's not really a case you need to go think about it, it's more about the money. Yes, right? And then we're into it. So these frames, now we start understanding that it's really not what the prospect is saying, it's what they're actually meaning. And that's what we really need to understand about the first part about this video. #2 is going to be get the prospect to agree on the real objection. What do I mean by that? Well, when a prospect gives you an objection, and let's say, for example, so if you told me, I was like, hey man, like, why don't you go to the gym? And then I was like, oh, but I do go to the gym. And then you go, well, why aren't you going to the gym? It's like, man, but I told you I'm going to the gym. You see, it doesn't resonate. So what we have to do is get the prospect to tell themselves that this is their objection. So how we do that is, for example, when someone says, hey, I just want to go over testimonials. I'm like, okay, man, so is it just a little bit of uncertainty? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool, man. So what did I do there? I just got the prospect to admit his uncertainty. And what does uncertainty really mean? It means that the prospect has fear. And then we started uncovering the real objection. Now we can start going through our objectioning frames and how we do it. Very simple framework. Now, #3 is use analogies. Why do we want to use analogies? Because it's super important during objection handling to get the prospect to really like imagine this like vision in their head. Because if they can't really see what you're saying, they're not going to really be engaged. So very important to, let's say, for example, I use the bridge analogy. Right now, you're on this side of bridge, not making the money that you want to, not living the life that you want to. On the other side of the bridge is like where you truly want to be, that version of yourself who's done all things that he wants to for himself and his family. You see, that bridge is getting the prospect to visualize their experience, to visualize who they are and who they need to become. Does that make sense? Now, when we go into step #4, is using your pace and tone throughout objection handling. If I'm in objection handling and I'm just hammering down the prospect, the same tone, same pace, it doesn't feel like I'm actually empathetic and I'm actually caring about the prospect. So super important during objection handling to be able to switch your tone. Like, hey man, like what's behind you saying that? So at the end of the day, when you get hit by fear, it comes in two ways. You either overcome it head on or you let it overcome you. You see what I did there? So what I did there is I just switched my tone and it made me sound a lot more empathetic. Rather than me being, yeah, so man, when you get hit by fear, it's like you either overcome it two ways. You see? So with my tone and my pace and my voice and the conviction that I have, it actually makes a prospect believe that I actually care about their results, which I do. But a lot of people don't show that because they're looking at a script or they're concentrating on just one part of the conversation. And then we go into step #4. It's cut through the BS. What do I mean by cut through the BS? Cut through the BS is a very simple meaning. And what I mean by that is like when someone gives you an objection, this is the most simplest way to overcome it. Guys, I'm going to drop sauce here. So Listen up, okay? Someone tells you, hey, I need to go speak to my partner. What do a lot of people do? Also, when you go speak to your partner, like what would be coming up for you that makes you want to do something now? This is what I do. Okay, but money out of the equation, would you do it? Yeah, I would though. Okay, so it's not really a case when you go speak to your partner, it's more just about like figuring out the money side of things. Yeah, it is. Okay, but why would you do it money out of the equation? And now we're in. Well, now we've agreed, the prospect has just agreed that it's not about speaking to their partner, that it's just about the money. And now we can concentrate and isolate the real objection, which is going to be fear of spending the money. Right? And now we're into it. And that's how you really understand the framework at a very high level when it comes to how to get the objection very quickly. This comes for everything that the prospect tells you. Hey, man, I just want to go through the free resources. Yeah, but money aside, would you do it? Yeah, I would. Okay, so it's not really a case about looking at the resources, more just about the investment. You see? And now we're in. So this is very important to understand. Make sure you're listening up. And number 5 is separate who they are to who they need to be. Very important to do this. In the whole objection handling, what I'm trying to get the prospect to realize is the version of themselves who they are and who they need to be. And I'm separating them throughout the whole conversation. Why? Because they need to feel like the version of themselves will not do the same things that they're doing right now, which is giving you guys objections and playing hard to get to be able to go to a course that will actually help them improve their life. Very important to understand that meaning. I'll use an example. So in terms of for you, man, like what would the version of yourself who's reached XYZ outcome, what does he do right here, right now to put him family in the best position going forward? You see? I'm not saying what would you do or what do you feel like you need to do. I'm like, what do you feel like the version of yourself who's gone to XYZ outcome would do right here, right now? Why do I do that? Because I'm separating them. Because he knows that the guy who he wants to be would do it. So why wouldn't he? And another thing, consequence and objection handling. You have to get them to understand where they want to get to, but you also have to get them to understand the consequences of them not doing anything. Example, hey man, what is the risk here? Is it for you to keep doing the same things that you have been for the past 3, 6, or even 12 months, man? Or is it for you to invest in a program, take a leap of faith, and one step forward so you can provide that life for your family that you've always wanted to? You see? Now, in their head, it seems a lot less risky for them to invest, say, $5, $10, $15,000 rather than them not doing anything and staying where they are, and not being able to do anything for their family, right? I hope that all made sense. I wanted to break down this video so you guys had a very good understanding of objection handling 101 and how my thought process works throughout objection handling at a very high level, and how I became the number 1 sales rep at Jeremy Miner's company, right? By using this objection handling framework. One thing when I first started for Jeremy's company, I was not the most skilled person. I was not the best. But what I did have in objection handling was I only took 4 answers. That's yes, no, fuck you, and the call, right? So you guys got to adopt this mindset at the very start, right? Because at the end of the day, like that relentlessness is something that 99% of people don't have. So you adopt that right away, you're already going to be above 99% of people, which will happen to me when I went to 7th level. Why I was so successful early on? Because I had that dog in me where I just wouldn't give up. So once you guys start applying this, plus you understand structure to objection handling, you guys will be absolute killers. Because when you look at objection handling, there's only 2 objections. A lot of people say it's 3, 5, 10, 20, 30. No, there's not. There's only 2 objections. And that's money and that's fear. Every single objection will come down to them fearful spending the money, right? Or them not having the money. That's the only way a conversation will ever end. And that's what we have to look at, is how do we overcome and concentrate on these 2 objections. But that's it for me. Just wanted to give you guys some sauce for this video. But yeah, if you guys have any questions regarding it or anything else you'd like to see, please reach back out, please. Pleasure.